Welcome everybody to the Town of Pownal Selectboard meeting, October 28th at 7 p.m. We need to call to order, approval of agenda, approval of minutes of October 14th, warrants, correspondence, digitalization of land records, oh boy, VORAC grant, Pownal landfill investigation, town hall update, public comment, and adjournment. And we have to add Christmas lights to the agenda, so that's going to be 9B. And we're going to move up Pownal landfill investigation up to 5B under correspondence. With those changes, could I please entertain a motion?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Approval of minutes of October 14th, 2021.
So moved.
Can I have a second? Okay, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, the ayes have it. 4 warrants. Payroll warrant 10/22/21, $9,387.72. Payroll warrant 10/29/21 for $9,780.82. Could I entertain a motion for the payroll, please?
Move that we approve payroll for the 2 dates listed.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Accounts payable for 10/18/21 for $20,427.09. Accounts payable for 10/22/21, $53,231.60. Accounts payable for 10/26/21 for $22,790.81. Can I entertain a motion, please?
Move we approve the warrants, accounts payable for the dates listed.
Second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Ayes have it. Just a reminder to everybody, they can go on to the town website and check out all the warrants. And for that, Megan, I'd like to open up for questions for accounts payable to the public, please. Anybody have their hand risen?
Jim?
Hello, Jim Kosas. Hey, I thought I expected tonight on a warrant, maybe a payment to the forensic auditor. So I just wanted to find out, is there a couple of invoices still outstanding that are possibly still in legal discussion? Thank you.
That's not under any of these accounts payable right now. So we'll take that under advisement, Jim. Thank you.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
no, I said thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you. All right. We all did that, right?
Yes.
Flabbergasted for a second. Okay, moving on.
Why?
Why? Because I lost my track of thought.
You had to expect it.
I know. Correspondence. I just wanted everybody to know that we get an update from the Bennington Sheriff's Department of all their calls that they do during their 30 hours per week. And so we're going to ask Tim to put this up on the website so people can see it, please. It lists like 911 hangups and patrol stops and ATV incidents,
Which was one
which was one, correct.
for a month.
This is from, 113 calls. So please put that up for me, Tim. Thank you very much. And then this is from Julie. She wants to remind everybody that November 1st let me make sure I got this right. The MAU bond vote. This is the special one that's coming up on Tuesday, November, it says 2nd, but then down here she's got the 1st. What's the date? I want to make sure I have it right.
I believe it is the 2nd.
It is November 2nd? Okay. Early voting can be done with her hours, Tuesday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 4. I will not be open on the weekends prior to the election. However, I will be in the office on Monday, the 1st of November. If you wish to have a ballot mailed to you, you must request it by calling 802-823-0116, extension 101. Or you can email me at thetown.clerk@thetownofpownal.org. Don't forget, the voting is from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Tuesday, November 2nd. Can we also put that up on the?
Alrighty.
Thank you very much, Tim. And then we also received a letter from Megan Randall, wanting us to, send a letter or get involved in the rail. They're looking to maybe add a rail to Massachusetts from North Adams to Boston. And she thinks it would be a great, opportunity for Pownal to maybe open up to this. I think it's interesting, and I would be interested in getting more information on it. Okay, this is the Massachusetts Passenger Rail Study. And that's it for the correspondence.
What is Megan asking us to do?
She's asking us to endorse. But I think right now we need to get more information on it.
And actually, if I could
Yeah, sure.
chime in on it, she's actually not, I don't think she's asking us to,
It says it's her. I'm sorry. She endorses it.
yeah, I think she wants us to express interest
Interest.
so that we can become part of the conversation.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, for the
And,
Berkshire Spur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that we're correctly paraphrasing what you did.
Okay.
Talking about the rail going into Albany. We only got one line through Pownal. I don't know. Don't go around the circle, folks. Got to think about that before you get all in Dorsey.
Well, I didn't-
One line going down there.
I don't think anybody would, I don't.
I think it's just a study and to show that we would be interested in this.
But I'm just explaining that so that people realize that that's where we stand.
Right.
I explained that to her at the meeting. Mm-hmm. But it didn't get very far. That's why I'm saying it's, we only have one line. It's not passenger service. It's a
Right.
freight line.
It's freight line. Yep.
Well, we used to have two.
Okay. So we're gonna move up Pownal landfill now. So that's you, Mr. Tom Shuey.
Okay.
Welcome.
Hey, Megan, is Kurt there?
Yes, Kurt?
Good evening, everybody.
Hi, Kurt. Welcome.
How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Tired. So, Tom, would you like me to take the lead here, or would you like to?
Yeah, go ahead, Kurt. I mean, you pretty much have it spelled out here in your emails, but there's a couple of things I want to know. Did Sean Donovan ever get back to you guys with that third-party indemnity agreement from the state?
He has not, and there wasn't any specific letter, so to speak, in terms of what the third-party indemnity was, and he was searching for that. So I guess he didn't find a letter per se of what the third-party indemnity would be, but he said he was willing and happy to speak with anybody at the Salem property to identify that the third-party indemnity is there. It really, I've had follow-up conversation. Tom, do you want me to kind of set the stage for what the purpose of this conversation is?
Yes. Dr. Salem at first was willing to let us do these piezo tests, which is only a few feet deep, and they're just little things. Actually, you put them in with a handbore or something, don't they?
Yeah.
So, these are not, big things where you have to get a drill rig in or anything. Guys can walk in there, put them in, mark them, and then come back and test the waters because they're shallow. They want to see what's going on in the shallow water. And then he got his attorney involved, and that put the screws to everything. Sorry to say, but but I think that if we can get to him with this third party indemnity, he's afraid that if we find something that he's responsible, well, no, if he finds something that's going to be based on from stuff from us, because I don't think that probably ever had anything to do like what we have. So I think that we're really trying to get that because these are less expensive wells, number one, and number two, it gives us a more complete picture of what's going on as far as the testing to see how far things have spread and so forth. And that's going to dictate to the state basically what our remediation is going to be. Whether it could be just something as simple as what he said one time, simple as, just a trench with coconut shells or something in there, just to keep it from off leaching off the property. It would be something like that, but without the information, we may not know. We may be forced into doing something a lot more expensive. Is that correct?
Yeah, there are a couple of things you paraphrased there that I just want to clarify. In terms of the remediation, the most, if indeed there's a need for remediation in the context of you've got homes with impacted groundwater or drinking water that exceeds the applicable standard, the most cost-effective way would be to put a small treatment system at each home. You're not going to clean up an entire landfill or all the groundwater around it. So that's going to be the most cost-effective way. Now, in terms of what you'd identify with the trench, yes, that would be another approach to minimize the amount of the source migrating towards the homes. But it would be a little bit more than a coconut shell,
Right.
trench. We're talking.
Well, I mean, that was kind of what they told me. What Sean told me. He said it could be something as simple as that if we need it.
I guess I just want to paint the picture very, very quickly again. So we've characterized the heck out of the landfill itself. We identified that there are impacts that are relatively high, particularly in the northwest of the property, that after the forested wetland and groundwater is migrating in that direction. So we had the Strohmeyer property, the Salem property were the two kind of targets of where we need to extend this investigation. The state's not going to stop until we determine nature and extent being how far does it go. And so we haven't investigated off the property yet. We immediately after the last meeting, which I believe we were together in June, we went out and we contacted the property owners, some of which responded, some of which didn't. And it took a while. Then we eventually got approval from Strohmeyer. Salem gave us the verbal blessing, but we need to have an access agreement signed formally. It's a legal binding document. We sent the access agreement, and that's when the attorneys got involved. The attorneys gone back and forth, and essentially at this point, Salem hasn't given us authorization. Now, what we talked about with the state the last time was, what's the contingency? What's the backup plan if we can't get access to the Strohmeyer property? I'm sorry, the Salem property. And so we talked about potentially phasing this investigation. The most important thing here is, are the drinking water wells in the vicinity of this landfill, are they impacted? And the answer is yes, they're impacted. None of them exceed the applicable standard. So the point being is, over, seasonally, groundwater rises and falls and concentrations can go up and down. And just because we have one snapshot that says they're below 20, but some are at 11, some are at 3, some are at 12. The point being is, the state really wants another round of drinking water well samples like ASAP. And the idea was we would combine it all together. But the reality is, if we don't have access to Salem, it probably doesn't make sense to combine all this together if we could get access later. And we're up against, in terms of field work, the weather. We can't very easily install piezometers by hand in frozen wetlands. So what I'm suggesting is focusing right now on getting the drinking water wells resampled and possibly doing a round of groundwater sampling. I'm going to propose we just wait on that, put the new wells in on the rest of the perimeter properties in the spring, then get a big round of groundwater samples in the spring. One collective picture of this is what the current status of the contaminant plume is. There's no point, in my opinion, sampling groundwater in the fall to then only go back and sample 80% of the wells again in the spring. And I don't want to subject the town to that cost. But we do need to get the data for the drinking water wells like yesterday. So a lot of words, but that's the phased approach. And I have some other thoughts and suggestions, but if there are questions thus far, I'm happy to entertain them. And I have figures I can share if it helps to look at figures. I can share my screen.
For the lack of access, is that non-responsiveness or is it refusal? Do you know?
It's refusal. Essentially, the attorneys said that they wanted to leave the door open to sue VHB, the company, if we identify that there's contamination on the property, or if, God forbid, someone in the future were to go into the woods, a trespasser, and slip on a monitoring well or what have you. And so basically, that access agreement supplies us with some indemnity, and they're basically scratching that and saying the door is open for us to sue you in any case whenever we want, basically. And we can't have that. I mean, that's not our problem. The contamination might be there. So that's really the sticky wicket. We've had multiple conversations with the attorneys. I've sort of left it up to the attorneys, but we're not willing to scratch the indemnity is the point I'm trying to get at.
So that was more around a liability for accident and things like that. It was not about what the test might yield.
No, it was both, sir.
It was both. Okay.
Yeah. And the concern is, so they identify there's contamination on their property, and ABCD equals probably the property value may be worth less if groundwater is contaminated on the property, and they want to be able to point a finger at someone and leave the door open to point a finger if indeed there's contamination on their property, and that finger would be VHB. And we're not going to open the door to be sued if we happen to sample the water and there's contamination on their property.
All right. Thanks, Kurt. I understand it much better now.
So Kurt, you're thinking of doing all the well testing in the spring then? Okay.
Yeah, and that's a little different, Tom, than what we left it with Sean. I just started to run the numbers though, and for us to do a full round of groundwater sampling for all the wells that we have there, plus a few piezometers that we may be able to install in November in the Strohmeyer property, it's like 20 grand to then go back in the spring, put 5, 6, 8 new wells in, then resample everything again. To me, it makes sense to just do it once, and I'm willing to step up to bat with the state and say, look, all right, we're sorry. We wish we could have had this round in when we said we would. It's not our fault that we can't get access. We can't just sneak on the property and do it. So I think they'll buy it. But I don't think we can get away with waiting, another season and not sample people's drinking water wells.
All right, now when I left the last meeting, I had to call Esker from Stantec, well, he called me, I got, a quarter mile down the road, basically.
Jeez.
And I met with him on that following Monday.
Yep.
And he's supposed to do the fall samplings, and he was going to do we decided not to do the PFOAs.
Yep.
And so that kind of puts me in a little bit of a bind as far as our certification for that closed landfill, because he's not doing the PFOAs. So
Yep.
if we do them in the spring, maybe you talk to Buzz or somebody, make sure that'd be okay.
That's Tom. I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, that's sort of the biggest issue here, because you've got an obligation to that other landfill, and it doesn't make sense for both parties to sample the wells for the same thing twice.
Exactly.
And so, just by the nature of the weather and this access thing, it's put us in a tough position. But I think that they have to be able to be a little bit lenient in this situation. And I think between Sean and myself chatting with Buzz and saying, look, we guarantee this is happening in the spring, and just, so
as long as you get those two guys to agree with it and so forth, then I'll be fine with it, as far as my certification. See, that's who I have to answer to anyhow.
Yeah. I've worked with Buzz for a lot of years.
I know.
He's a fairly pragmatic guy, and
He seems like a great guy to work with.
yeah, I think that he won't have an issue with it, given the circumstances.
Okay.
So from the technical perspective, does anybody have any other questions?
I don't. That pretty much covered everything. I do have one other thing I want to tell you, Kurt.
Sure.
I just looking at the drill locations on the map that you guys had sent us, and the highway superintendent came over, and 2 of those are basically in the gravel pit, so they're going to have to be changed. I mean, we're going to have to do some work with those. Because we,
If there'd be any opportunity for me to share my screen, I'm not sure if you're looking at a big TV or something, but
oh, we got a great big one.
yeah. If
There
I
you go.
could
You
have
should be all
access-
set, Kurt.
Perfect.
Yes.
Can everybody see this okay?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, and I'm not going to be looking at the screen because I want to, but if I'm not looking at you, I apologize. So these were the four we're talking about. We have the Brodeur, I believe, is this property owner, and then the town of Pownal owns this. And these were the two, Tom, that you were suggesting were.
Yes. Yeah. I don't think we have a problem with Roger Boudreau. I don't think we have a problem there at all. But I think that what we're going to do is the other ones are where they're going to be taking out gravel and sand over the next, I don't know how many years. It's on a lease with Stromeyer's. And Stromeyer's are going to want well in there that he can't sell the material to the town out of those areas. So I'm just letting you know that we're going to have to really figure out where these can go. We'll have to go with probably have to go with maybe Sonny Stromeyer and Joel Burrington to do some placement on these things. We'd like to get them in. I mean, I don't think they have a problem with that, but we just don't want to screw up the gravel pit.
Absolutely, and they're too expensive to put in a place that they could potentially be damaged. So we have a lot of leeway here. I mean, just from the perspective, and I don't want to get this, I don't want to make this too technical here, but there's a pretty. This is something. This is called an Esker, and it's basically a geologic feature that's. At one point, there was an underground river, essentially, and so there's really coarse material, and we're seeing the contaminant basically in bedrock moving along this. And if you look at, give me a second, my apologies. You look at these, no, I'm sorry, I was all prepped, folks. I got the wrong, this is the one. They all look the same when they're super small. So this Esker feature zigzags right down through here. And so if you notice, the highest drinking water, although we're below 20, the highest concentration is 11, and it's right here. And so we also have detection here and down here. This S feature is basically where that Esker is traveling. Nothing over here, slightly here. And then this we think is totally separate because the concentrations are actually the highest in groundwater here, and the overall groundwater flow directions to the northwest. So it's a really unique hydrogeologic relationship where you've got this like subterranean river that goes S-shaped north-south with an overall groundwater flow direction to the northwest. And so the concern there is, what is going on? This is only drinking water wells. What's going on in the groundwater up in this vicinity, the northeast, and similarly northwest? Why is this well up here 7.1 and it's almost a quarter mile away, more than a quarter mile away? So this is what we need to kind of determine to have the state get off our backs and then figure, and then figure out how this thing's going to get cleaned up. Was that a decent explanation? Does everybody understand?
Oh, I think so.
Okay.
Yep.
You don't understand?
Yeah, and I could talk about this stuff all day, but I don't want to bore you too much. So in terms of the way this works, so this is with the CWSRF. There's a loan amount that you've already got established, and that loan amount included, because the last supplemental investigation, if you will, was supposed to be the last one, and because there were, there's exceedances at the property line, it's not, unfortunately. So, but we built into that last loan agreement sort of the next steps, evaluations of corrective action alternatives, which is basically option 1, 2, 3. This is what you could do. These are the costs. We also put in some permitting and some compliance, which is the preliminary permitting that you need to actually install a remedial system. And then there was continued efforts with navigating, being supportive to you and your town, and then navigating that CWSRF program. as we were transitioning into the actual bid process of corrective action. So the point I'm getting at is there was about a $50,000 pot remaining on the agreed upon loan amount. I haven't spent it yet, but it was there because we didn't want to have to send it to underwriting over and over again. We just sort of proactively put it as a placeholder. Because we will need to design another investigation and get underwriting happening again, and I really want to get out there now to get these drinking water wells sampled. What I'm trying to do is use some of that 50 for the drinking water samples and not have to go through the underwriting process so we can get out there yesterday. Now, over the winter, as we're teeing this thing up, there'll be the formal work plan of this is the bigger picture, additional wells, bigger groundwater investigation, et cetera, where that plan will have to go through the CWSRF approval process, and the loan will need to be amended. So I'm just kind of forewarning you, that's the process. Fortunately, we have 3 months of frozen conditions to address it, but that's kind of the direction I was going. And Tim, is that consistent with what your recollection was?
Yes.
During the call with the state and CWSRF? Okay.
Yeah.
Any
Okay.
questions?
Any questions?
I don't.
So do we need a motion to let him wait until spring? Is that what we want to do, or?
Yeah, but I think what we need to do is just
Just that
follow his.
Follow his
He's
recommendation.
got this phase plan set up, and I think that's what we really need to follow. I think he's got a good plan, and we're just gonna have to go with it.
Okay. Does
So
anybody
I
have any
guess-
questions?
The one thing I just want to make sure is I'm not the 50 grand. I'm not going to take the 50 grand. The point is I'm reallocating a portion of the 50 grand that is going to be used for the drinking water sampling. And I guess that's the piece that I just want to make sure we're okay with. I will give the exact numbers to Tim and the team before, but I just hope this doesn't need to wait for another select board meeting for that approval.
I'll move that we allow Kurt to take whatever portion that he needs to do the drinking well samples as soon as possible and put off the surface water until the spring.
Yeah.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you all. Any other questions come up, feel free to reach out. I appreciate your time.
Okay.
Thank you, Kurt. Have a good night.
Thanks, Kurt.
Bye.
All right.
All right, Tom, are you good?
Yeah, we're stuck between the rock and the hard place, and that's just the way it is. It's, the state's making us do this stuff, and then it's just like more. We want more. We did it. We want more. So we did that, and we want more. It's
The way they work.
hopefully this is going to be the end of it, because it's not Kurt and these guys doing it. It's actually a state forcing us to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want you to make you aware that it's not the engineers that are.
No, we
of
realize
course,
that.
It's their job, but and they're getting work out of it, but that's not their idea. They would really like to get this thing wrapped up, to tell you the truth. Then we get to the remediation, and then we get what we have to do as far as any kind of certification, as far as testing and everything else. So as long as he gets that cleared with Buzz, as far as the PFOA tests for the wells, because we don't want to pay for that twice, because that's almost, they're $800 a pop,
Right.
or more. And I don't think they're going down any. So if we're going to wait and do that, and we're still okay, so I'm not breaking a certification, if they're okay with that, then I'm fine with it, because I'm the one that signed the certification stuff. I'm the one that's supposed to be following it,
Right.
So that's what it is, folks.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're
Appreciate the
welcome.
work on that, Tom.
Yes, appreciate it.
Pardon?
I appreciate the work on that.
Thank you. We've been trying. How about it, Tim? We've been trying, but
Many walks and many.
yeah. Well, you folks have a good evening.
Thank you so much, Tom.
I came up here right straight from the turkey dinner, the church dinner. Working down there.
Okay, moving
Well,
on.
I noticed you didn't bring any.
He's hungry. He's out hunting.
Thanks a lot, Tom. I'll remember that.
Please do.
I was gonna buy you a coffee Saturday, but don't count on that now. Have a good night, Tom.
Thank you.
You need a coffee, just stop by the transfer station. We grind our own beans, buddy.
Have a good night.
Bye, Tom.
Good night, all.
Have a good one.
All right, moving on to number 6, digitalization of land records. Tim?
Yes. So Our listers. we received a grant to get us up and running on the COT system in 2020. It was right before I arrived on the scene. So Julie has been utilizing that. We've got her up and running. We trained her about a month and a half ago to really be setting things through and digitizing everything. Part of that grant was for 5 years worth. So now what we'd like to do is bring it up to the level that will really make it useful for anyone outside of town hall to really locate those digital formats of all the land records. And that's about a 40 to 50 year time span. The ARPA monies allow us to do that. That's one area that they can be targeted on very easily. So what I had COTS do was come out and give us a quote on what it would take for that 40 to 50 year period. And what they came back with was a quote to basically do it in phases. And the phase 1 is basically from for 33 years back, about to the 1988 range. And then a phase 2, which is prior to that, back to around 1969, 70. And the reason for the 2 phases is because the books in that phase 2 range have a lot more in them that makes the process a lot more manual. So there were a lot more different artifacts. During that time frame. Yep, and a lot more artifacts put on a page and staples and tape and things that make it a lot more manually intensive. So what they said was we can do this first phase, and that's the contract that I sent for around $9,600. And then while they're doing that phase, they can check out those books in more detail and come back with a more accurate quote for the second phase. And so we're not tied into anything past for that second phase. If we choose not to do it or limit the years we want to digitize, we can go that route. So what I'm requesting is that we allocate from ARPA up to the amount of 16,000 and not to exceed 16,000, so that we don't have to come back and do this again when we get to phase 2. If it's within that range, we can do phase 2. Or you can choose just to do phase 1 now and have me come back. That's up to you all, how you see best fit. And the last piece of that is what I'm proposing is if it's above 16,000, we use the what's in the restoration fund. So, every recording thing that comes through, $4 goes to the restoration fund, which is and that's been in process for several years now. That's for digitalization and getting things online and things of that nature for the clerk's office. So what this will do is get us up to that sort of where things need to be, so people out in the world can just reach in digitally and get what they need. And then we go from there.
So my only question, Tim, and I'm totally for the whole project because the ARPA money is funding it.
Yes.
My only question is at 9,600 for phase 1 leaves us 6,400 or 7,400, right?
Yep.
Or no, 64, right? For 6,400 for phase 2
Yep. Yes.
plus restoration money.
Yes.
Is that going to be enough to?
Yep. So how I backed into the 16,000 was, so of the total books, there's 109. So the first phase is about 59%. So I just took that number and that's 59% of what? And that's 16,366. So I'm hoping that that quote what's left will cover those 45 books based on that. Now, I know they're going to be a little more labor intensive, but I'm hoping that once we get in there and get an accurate quote, that it's not as bad as we think, or we just shrink the number of years. Where there's no reason we have to, you know, we have some wiggle room, I guess is where I'm going with that.
Is the process is scanning, isn't it? Or-
Yes.
So we're scanning records and digitizing, and that's how we're
Right.
digitizing.
Yes.
So we're getting a bunch of PDFs or pictures or something that we're then storing and making available.
Yes.
So the 9,600 in phase one, I would assume has a learning curve, and we might be more efficient with phase two.
So we're not doing the work. So COTS literally comes here and they're past the
There is
learning
no
curve.
learning curve.
No, they come here and they set up and they do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that my concern, Tim, is because I really like the idea of having it going back. You know, what you're proposing. And with the ARPA money, I'd rather have too much money
Okay.
proposed so that we can complete the project. And if we don't need X number of dollars that we propose now, we don't have to spend it there. If it was only 16,000, let's say we went to 20,000, just
Right.
picking numbers. I'm just grabbing numbers. Okay. I haven't thought this through. I'm just grabbing numbers out of the air.
Yeah.
If we propose 20,000 tonight and we only spent 16,000, well, then we got $4,000 we can spend somewhere else on the ARPA money. I just don't want to limit ourselves. If we're doing it a one and done thing right now, I don't want to limit what you're proposing because I think the proposal to bring it back to that time frame is really advantageous.
Okay.
That's just me. It's just my gut. I'd rather have too much money there than
Not enough.
be able to complete this whole entire process.
And I'm sorry, when was phase one going to be done?
So in November. So that's the thing. This phase one contract has to be signed by tomorrow so that they can schedule for November.
And then phase two would start in December?
We don't know. So while they're here for phase one, they would figure it out, and then we would get another one of these to sign, and then they would be able to schedule the dates.
But we can always grab more ARPA money. later if
We
that's
could
not
probably
enough.
come back, I guess, Bob, right? I mean, we could.
I mean, if you, like you said, after phase one, we could be more accurate with the estimate on phase two, and it may or may not be enough, but then we can always come back and grab it.
True.
I don't want to, I guess, that's the double-edged sword, is that I see the point, I agree with the point that, you don't want to have to go back to the well, but we're the well and we're right here.
Well, and that's true. I just hate bringing the same thing up multiple
Again.
times. Yeah, I'd rather do a one-time deal right now and hopefully have enough money in there, if we increased it. Because my line of thinking with that was 9,600 does phase one, and especially after you gave us the percentages, it's 59%. So then I'm thinking, even though it's more labor intensive and it's down to 41%, 10 grand's gonna cover it. So we're at, we're at 20 grand is gonna cover both processes. That's my line of thinking. Maybe I'm, that's.
Well, I think, and there's no difference in the efficiency of it, right? So if we did do 20,000 now, we would have money left over. The only thing I'm wary of is anytime you're allocating more funds, they tend to get spent. And I'm not sure if that's true with a project like this or not, but that's something to be wary of always with government. If we estimate that and allocate 20,000 to a project, whatever the project is, it usually takes 20,000 or 22,000.
Said companies watching our board meeting, yes, I understand where you're going.
So, and I'm not sure what the right approach is, because both of those are valid points. Not have to go back to the well versus,
Well, we kind of
go
already
back to
said.
the well if we're gonna go.
We kind of already said here tonight that, okay, we're comfortable with reallocating more money. So what's the difference? They're going to say, well, they're going to reallocate. So there's double. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff there. That was just my line of thinking. Do it
So
one time and be done with it.
why don't you make a motion, and then if there's a second, then it carries. If not, we'll go back to the drawing board.
I'll move that we, allot $20,000 ARPA funds to the digitalization of land records in a 2-phase project. Phase one, to be started in November of 2021 for the estimated sum of 9,600. Is that right, Tim? And then, they'll come back with an estimate for phase two.
I'll second that. Any discussion?
I think it's so the motion is up to 20,000.
Up to 20,000.
20,000.
That's right. Sorry, Bob.
That's right.
No, absolutely. Up to $20,000.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
No opposed? Okay, the ayes have it.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Moving on to Vorak grant. I hope I said that right.
Yes, so Jen, Rebecca and I met earlier in this week, and we just wanted to get you guys up to speed on what we're doing. So she mentioned last board meeting that we were picked 39 out of 100 submissions, which is a big deal.
Right.
And the grant that is being sought is to allow access into the recreational, this Strobridge area.
Yep.
Am I saying that right? Okay. So what we're doing is we're moving full force on the application, which is due at the end of November, I believe. And so we're meeting tomorrow. Rebecca, Jen and I in person to sit down and do a sort of, this is the things that we need to check off and do. And we just wanted to bring it to your attention and let you know that we're moving forward with that application.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's
That's
awesome. It is awesome.
Really looking forward to the access to that area.
Yeah, some good things. All right. Then
Side by side.
All right, moving on to town hall update. That's also you, Tim and Mike.
So like last meeting, we spoke of the budget. I sent you all an updated version of that. Where it looks now is that the project is going to come in over around 200,000. The good news in that 200,000 is that it does not include the 25,000 that we're anticipating from the Historic Society. And there's a 25,000 contingency chunk in there just to cover the unknowns. So that brings it down to around 150 at this point. And as we move forward, there may be a few other areas where we'll try to cut back, but we think we've covered most of the other.
Tim, does this also include moving the building in the spring?
Yes, it does.
Okay, I just want to make sure that's out there.
Yep, it
And
does.
that, I spoke with Mike Connors on that movement, and he's his price is in the spring is gonna be the same as what he's quoted. You know,
So
what
he's guaranteeing in the price.
He's guaranteeing that price that he gave us.
Nice.
So that's not gonna increase. That particular piece of it.
Okay, great.
You know, we had on the surface, it looks like it was way kind of out of whack. In the real world, we really worked incredibly hard. Everybody worked incredibly hard to keep that increases to a bare minimum. Materials killed us. The concrete price skyrocketed. No control over that. There's just things that, we had no control over. What I will say is that the entire team still up to today, yesterday, the day before, whatever, they're still incredibly, they're working with so much pride on the entire project. At the end of the day, we're gonna have a really quality project for the money that's spent. I really believe that the entire project, every part of it, that anybody's had anything to do with, the pride that they do it with, the communication between everybody has been phenomenal. So, some people stepped in for me a couple of weeks ago and had to make some decisions and stuff and just did it without, they made the right choices, in my opinion. So, yeah.
I think it looks great. It's coming along really nice.
I think at the end of the day, when we get it all said and done and we can actually be in there and use it and do whatever, I think it's something that we're all going to be proud of. So.
Absolutely.
I agree totally. I mean, the building looks fantastic. walked through it during the picnic, which I know it's changed quite a bit since then. And then, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
It is.
And it's amazing how quickly that's coming along. I think the breakdown does tell us where all the overages are, right?
Yes.
Okay.
and that's a pretty solid breakdown. There's no,
Yes.
it's extremely solid. It's incredible.
Yeah, great job, Tim. Thank you. All right, moving on. Are we all set with that?
Yes.
Christmas lights. So that's you, Mr. Gardner.
So I met with Joyce and Rich Ryder a couple days ago here in the afternoon. My long-term plan or the long-term plan, it's kind of my plan, I guess, is that big spruce tree needs to come down. It's a disease tree. And long-term plan would be to plant another spruce tree or some sort of a fir tree there. But that's not gonna happen this year. So the Bennington Fire Department, Rich Ryder's been in contact with them. We'll bring their ladder truck down and put the lights back on that tree this year, at no cost to the town. So I kind of gave Joyce, the go ahead, let's just get it done. I mean, it was a huge thing last year. I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention that, we were gonna move forward with that again. I've reached out to the firehouse, the Pownal Firehouse. They need a place to string their lights out, check their lights, blah, blah, blah. They're gonna do it at the firehouse by the post office. I'm gonna reach out to Pownal Valley. I need a couple of volunteers to get on the ladder truck with when they're down here and help them string some lights. So
Do you know the date of that? Or not yet?
Have that on Wednesday.
You'll have that on Wednesday?
yeah, I don't think we have set a date for stringing the lights. I know that November 3rd is the night that they're going to check the lights and see what they need. And Joyce, she's going to be there to
Okay.
take care of that. I've already secured the firehouse. I've secured some help for her to do that. Just kind of an FYI more than anything. It was a huge thing last year, and I think it's something we should really continue. And I think next year, we kind of want to do it this year, but it's not going to happen. Like I said, I think next year we get that tree down, we get a nice tree in there, and we have a Christmas community lighting, whatever we do, and try to have some kind of a festival or whatever, over a weekend or whatever. So
Yep.
just kind of a thought in my head.
Yep. Sounds good. Thank you to which Bennington Fire Department is it, or all of them?
What's the,
Bennington Village.
Bennington Village.
yeah, American Ladder Company.
Thank you for that. Okay, one
I
last,
think that was, we had proposed there, or maybe I'm thinking over my head, but I thought we proposed that they would have projected lighting,
it was a suggestion, yes.
which seems to me there's no maintenance to that.
But they already have the lights and already paid for them last year, correct?
There's
From the
no,
All
donations.
donated.
there was the donation, Johnny, and I think, when I talked to Dave Dents about this particular tree in the spring, him and me and the tree warden, Dave says this tree needs to come down. He gave me the disease it has, and the only disease I know trees get are when a chainsaw hits the bottom of them. I call it girdling, but whatever. So, or cutting them down. I forgot what he told me, but anyways.
They're not gonna put another tree in that same place, are they?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's a decision that the board would have to make, and I think,
Decision that should be made because the well's right there.
yeah.
So you're gonna have to trim it, keep trimming it all the time. 'Cause
What?
you're gonna have to work on that someday or another.
Right.
I mean, that ain't nothing to do with me, but yeah.
Right. No, Dave and I talked about it, in the spring, a 14 or a 16 foot or some sort of a fairly large tree, out there and then be able to maintain it and keep it trimmed and take care of it at some place, around the center focal of the town hall. So,
Oh, can I ask, did we pay anything last year to take them down?
No, it was all done by Dave
Volunteer.
volunteered. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I appreciate everything that he did last year. It's a tough job. They had a hard time because it was very windy the day that they decided to do it. And it's a tall tree and the ground is not even to be on the bucket truck and stuff. They did have a hard time.
And the lighting was a really nice event.
It was.
that was great.
It was great, and so many people complimented and enjoyed it. So yes. And one last thing before we open up the public comment is November dates.
Yes.
We're gonna change them to the first and the second week because the 11th, which is our regular, and the
First and third.
the first and third, correct?
Yes, the November 4th and November 18th.
Yeah, see, don't, you said the first. I was thinking
No, the
November
first week and the third
first,
week.
I'm just saying our regular is
No.
the second
And the fourth.
and the 4th, which was Veterans Day and Thanksgiving Day. So we're gonna change both of them to November 4th and November 18th. And we will put that on the web, correct?
Yes.
Those will be our next two regular meetings.
Those will be our next two regular meetings, yes. Does anybody have anything to add before we go to public comment?
I'm good.
Everybody's good? Okay, let's open up for public comment. Megan, please, if you have public comment, please raise your hand and remember to state your full name. Thank you very much.
Jim,
Hello, everyone. First of all, I'd like to just thank Tim for putting on the spreadsheet for the town hall.
His name.
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yep, but you didn't state your full name, Jim.
I'm sorry, Jim Kosis. I'm sorry, I apologize.
Thank you.
First of all, thank Tim. Tim, you're doing a great job, first of all. I just wanted to just kind of go over the spreadsheet that Tim did post on there. I did notice, well, even in your discussion, there is the word overspending. And I think I want to just make sure there is a discussion on how is this overspending going to be handled? I understand, yes, we're at, according to the spreadsheet, 201, putting in monies from the Historical Society, which I really appreciate. And then the contingency hopefully will be, there won't be anything else added to it. I'd just like to know where the town is going to come up with the $150,000 to take care of it. Is it going to be coming out of a general fund, taxes, increase, anything? I leave it up to you guys, just kind of inform the people on that. Bottom line, it does show that the total budget is $101,097,000. I was surprised we hit the 1 million. I'm not sure. There's lots of things in there, and I noticed that there were added things for dumpsters and things like that, things that are going to come up. But we also have to be concerned about what the expenses are going to be going forward. I'm just a little worried or surprised that some of this might not have been brought up when the bond vote was initiated. I really wish the town would have gone maybe for more of a bond vote. I'm more than willing to pay a little more extra to make sure that this town hall will be a nice town hall that we can afford, but not to increase my taxes in 1 year. I would have liked to have spread it over a couple of years. So I'm not sure if it needs a discussion to have the overage brought back to the townspeople, explain to them that we have a nice building coming on, that we need a little more extra money. And if we could somehow spread that over the next 20 years or whatever bond vote is, but I just don't want to get hit by another 1 year tax increase, because once the budget goes up, it never goes down. And I'd love to see something like that happen. Again, thank you very much. And I just throw that out for a suggestion. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a good night. Anybody else, please raise your hand.
Mindy Joe,
Hi, Mindy Joe.
Hi, I'm Mindy Joe Harrington over here in Burdick's Mobile Home Park. How are you people tonight?
Good, thank you. And you?
Pretty good, actually. We've started some cleanup. We've started some junk removals, yard cleans. However, I really wish I could get Mike and Fred and Bob, all of you down here, okay? So I can be on the same page with everybody else, especially Mike. I'd like him to come down and do his zoning thing. Because there's things I want to do down here and I want to make sure it's within the rules. Okay, I've got 5 things going on right now, opening up here probably next couple of months. I want to be able to clean them up and do it right. So is there a way we can get maybe just Fred and Mike down here to do the zoning thing? Please. I need help and I'm asking for help. I think I've come up with a way to get rid of lot 6, okay, without it being a burden to the town. Okay, without the towns, people having to pay for it. But I still need input, please. Like Mike and Fred coming down and walking through this park with me. I greatly appreciate it, Mr. Gardner.
Okay, so let me, I guess now is as good a time as any. So, Fred and I met here, last Friday. I believe it was last Friday morning. And, kind of not even really, it had nothing to do with your part per se, Mindy Joe. It was just in general.
Oh, believe me, I understand that. There's some really bad stuff going on elsewhere.
So Fred and I are working, me in my capacity as the zoning administrator, Fred in his capacity as health officer. We've enlisted the help of Megan, to do some research, start doing some research for us on what we can and can't do to, clean up properties in town. So that being said, I'm sure that Fred would be willing. I know he's met with you because your name did come up. I'm not gonna lie, it was just in general.
That's
that
fine.
he's-
I don't have an
that he-
issue with
well,
that.
It came up because he said he's been working with you. Oh, you know, that's how it
Because
came up.
I'm really trying to clean this place up.
And that's exactly what he said. So, we can set up a meeting that's convenient for the 3 of us. I don't have a problem with that at all. I think it's probably a really good idea. You know, I do know that Fred and I are working on, Megan has done some of the research already. She did it this week, and she's got us where we can formulate a plan. And I apologize to Tom Shuey right now. Tom was involved in this meeting. He kind of came through the door. We were talking about him and he just popped in. So Tom, I apologize, but Tom was involved in that, meeting was too, not by invitation. He just came through because we think that people in town aren't necessarily aware of, what they can and can't do at the transfer station, what the costs are at the transfer station versus
Yep.
versus having a dumpster come in. We reached out to,
We have a dumpster coming in.
yeah, but I mean, we're talking not just about you, Mindy Joe. This is a
I know
conversation.
that.
Yeah, this is a
But
conversation that Fred and I had.
I'm concerned what's going on here.
Right. No, I understand that.
At the back side of lots, not one lot, looking good. It's just, I have certain things out with one lawyer and certain things out with another lawyer, okay, to get things done that need to be done on that level. The other level I need to know is like the upgrades, because some of these things in here are fixable, believe it or not. I was amazed, but they are. Okay, I'm working on those 2 now. Lot 6 is a problem. We got to get rid of that. So I think the best way to do that, because after taxes are done, the next thing to work on is to get that out of here. And we're going to end up having to pay somebody. You said 5,800 was the best. Oh my goodness, I can't think of the words.
Quote.
Well, thank you for
welcome.
your patience also. Was 5,800. So I was thinking maybe, because the wheels are under it, if we stuck everything inside of it, boarded it up, no metal, no wood, just the trash, and then maybe have somebody come and hook onto it and pull it to where it can be dismantled and taken care of properly, if that would be something that we could do, because I believe it's gonna be a little bit cheaper doing it that way. There's something, a suggestion, but I know the town, I need the town's approval because it would be moving. Do you know what I'm saying? I think that's how I read it. I could have read it wrong. Sometimes I read things backwards.
Is that a state approval or?
No.
No, that would be a
No,
town
that's the
approval.
town.
I believe we've already,
I don't think the town has to approve the removal of that trailer.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure we don't. But
okay.
Mindy Joe, I think you have my email address. You can either send it to my select board email or the zoning. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Send me an email of some times. If you want to, I'm sure you have Fred's. If we can, the three
I
of us.
literally have an open schedule, so whatever you and Fred come up with, I will be there.
So
If you buts about it, unless I have a doctor's appointment, which I don't have.
right, so if you want to send an email requesting that meeting with Fred and I, then we'll come up with a date when we can meet with you and come down and do what we can do.
That would be greatly, greatly appreciated.
we need to double check with Ellen and Julie.
I'm not gonna get down there and talk about moving the trailer. That's
No,
gonna be,
no,
what
that's-
I'm gonna do.
We can't do nothing with that trailer, okay,
Right.
until the water lien is taken care of.
Okay, I'm just,
That's the
I know
problem.
there's other things,
Whole
there's other
problem.
factors there, so.
Fred and I are going down.
Oh.
I'm going down. I don't know what,
Other
I'm not
factors,
gonna, I'm
okay,
not gonna
wait a
speak
minute.
for Fred.
Now-
I'm gonna get down as a zoning administrator and I'm gonna
Excuse me.
give her what she can and can't do. And that's all I'm gonna do.
Okay.
And I'm not making a
Excuse-
select board decision under zero circumstances, so.
I'm not asking for a decision.
No, I know,
but
I'm just
got
explaining.
blown away
I'm
because
just
the
explaining
last
to
time,
Jamie, that's all.
Yeah.
okay,
Well, I just know
Jamie,
there's
the
gonna be
last, wait a minute, now you guys got me confused again, okay? Because last I knew, the only thing we had to take care of to get rid of lot 6 was the water lien. Because I actually have contacted Mark Smith, I think his last name is, and I actually asked him to come get his building. Because if they got say over who can and cannot touch that, for whatever reason, that it belongs to them. So they could come pick it up. And that's the conversation I had with them. And then we had a fire down here and I didn't make it over.
We're getting into it.
Okay, Mindy Joe, your 3
There's
minutes
other
are up.
things now I just don't know about. So now I'm confused again. That's all.
Oh.
He just said there's other things.
Yeah, Mindy Joe, I'm sorry, but we have to move on. Send your request to Mike or Fred Miller and they'll come down and meet with you, okay? And we do appreciate that you're down there and you are trying to help clean it up. We appreciate that.
I just getting tired of running into what I feel like is titanium walls.
All right, thank you very much. You have a good night, ma'am. Anybody else, please raise your hand.
Jim?
I'm sorry to have to come back again. I just wanted, again, with Mindy, she's just trying so hard. And if someone could, someone could just tell me how much the lien is on the water, I will be the first one to donate money to find out, to put towards this lien. And I hope that others in the town, because she is trying so hard, I just can't believe we're just fighting over some kind of a lien like this for her to get help to try to clean up this place down there. And this is the beginning of what needs to happen with so many properties that are happening in Pownal. This town, Pownal town, was such a beautiful town, and it's just kind of changing around because of things that like this that are happening. That it's not the fault of the people that have homes around here, homes that are around here, but it's just I just can't understand why this is happening now. So, Mindy, give me a call. I'll and find out from I'm not going to put my number on the air, but give me a call. I'll put in monies. I'll put towards anything that has to happen to help you out there. I'm not going to help out everyone else because Mindy has been trying. Others out there may not be trying to do what they need to do with their homes and stuff like that. There is help out there for anyone, but this is unbelievable. I can't believe that I'm sitting here listening to this. Mike, I appreciate what you're gonna do to maybe help her, and I hope Fred is able to help her. I just hope the town can help this lady and we can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else, Megan? Please raise your hand.
There's no one else.
Okay.
Move
Can
we adjourn.
I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.